joining Gran Turisbros with your hosts, Eddie, the Juarez Gomez, and Tristan, Roadbeef Bayless. Today we've got a special guest. You may know him as Mr. Mohawk. He is the defining member of Team SV on Gran Turismo Sport. It is Cyrus Cross who is joining us.
Yay!
Cyrus.
Hey it's great to have you here, dude.
Welcome.
It's great to be here.
We've got a litany of questions for you. I hope you're ready to be grilled. If you got yourself off the smoker, first of all, then you're probably ready for the grilling. We'll get you cut up into a few salads, and then we'll be on our way.
Marinade.
Perfect.
Yeah, can't forget the marinade.
Marinate us with your voice.
Perfect. Cyrus chops.
Just bathe in the vibes. Smother myself. Okay, now we're just getting too far. It's not late enough for that. But give it an hour or two.
Perfect.
All right. Well, Eddie and I both have the same list. Eddie, my friend, why don't you get us started and ask what you'd like?
Gran Turismo.
Dun dun dun.
That's why we're all here, folks. It's a crazy game that's from Japan and brought us all together and forged relationships that we will continue to indulge in for the rest of our vidas. Anyway, all right, sorry, a little too carried away there,
spicy.
but yeah. Anyway, yeah, it's something like that we'd like to start with, of course, because it is the core of this show, and we wanted to know how you connected with Gran Turismo and how it all started.
Man, so I've been playing racing games my whole life, and I've always loved Gran Turismo, and I especially fell in love with Gran Turismo 3. That's the game I've played the very most, I think. Like, even to this day, even with Sport being out for 3.5 years, including the beta, I'm pretty sure I still played 3 more.
3 is hard. It was hard. I tried playing it recently, and it's very difficult.
It's been I think I haven't played it for probably 15 years, since 4 came out. But, yeah, no, actually I have a really special relationship with Gran Turismo. I think I owe a lot of my success to Gran Turismo. Yeah, GTHD was the very first game that I ever played competitively, I guess you can say that. The first time I ever really attacked a time, like not really a time trial, it was a drift trial, but it was the first time I ever attacked a leaderboard. And my success there led me to feel a lot more confident in myself. And yeah, then I played all of the Gran Turismos ever since, of course, and now I'm streaming the Gran Turismo 3 days a week. I absolutely love Gran Turismo, and GT Academy was also a huge defining moment in my life as well. Gran Turismo I owe a lot to Gran Turismo.
Go ahead.
Was 2013 when you went to the New York City regional?
It was 2014.
2014. Okay.
Yeah, he was in the class with Armin and Nick.
Yeah, Nick was
the prior year.
Nick was the champ the year before, but he was like a coach.
Yes. Oh, right.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
It's all coming back.
It's easy to get. I can't believe it's been 6 years now.
So who are, just to rifle off some of your co-competitors, who are they?
Oh my gosh. Urki is my eternal rival.
Urki.
I still remember the first time I raced him. I was like, oh, this guy's got Twitch all over his car. I went to his page. I was like, how come I've never heard of this guy and he's faster than me? Why is this happening?
Right.
That was how I also met Tristan. Like, oh, Roadbeef, that's a funny name. Why is he destroying me? Damn it. And yeah, man, I mean the current class of top split guys in the North America region are all the guys I'm chasing all the time.
Yeah.
That's a good group. I got a question about the GT HD drift competition.
Yeah, I had to say. I also wanted to. Yeah, you probably are going to ask the same one. Go ahead.
I was wondering if you've done like karting autocrossing before that, or if that was like a catalyst that then led into a real life car enthusiasm.
So I'd always been into cars. I had never done so much as I'd never done more than drive my car dangerously until until that point.
Right.
Pretty much everything I'd ever learned was was from video games.
That's
100%
cool.
at that point. Yeah, I'd never had a game that I'd really like compared myself online. I never played online games before that. I just sit by myself or with friends playing same screen multiplayer until that point. And then yeah. Do you guys remember GTHD? Did you guys play that?
Not me.
I didn't play HD. I just played 3 and then straight to 4. I played a couple of like the concepts, like the ones from like auto shows, the Tokyo and then like Essen or something, or the Frankfurt Auto Show.
Yeah.
When they released, the GTR concept, I think it was the big model for that. Those were easy to get because I think they were just all over the place in Europe, and I lived in Germany at the time. We just walked into like a supermarket that had a CD section, and there was like 2 Gran Turismo concepts, like prologues, out of nowhere. I'd never seen anything like it in the United States. Snatched those suckers up.
Yeah, because HD is one that not a lot of people mention. So it's cool. That's the very ground floor of competitive Gran Turismo because it had a very limited multiplayer, but it was a ranking board. There was time trial and drift trial. So
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, I was terrible at the time trial. Like all I ever did when it came to racing games at that point was drifting. Like Need for Speed Underground.
yeah.
I bought Gran Turismo 4 hoping that it would feel like Gran Turismo 3. I remember that was one of the greatest disappointments of my life initially. But then Gran Turismo 4 was actually partially responsible for me falling in love with racing again.
Yeah. A similar case for me and a lot of people as well. Especially, it kind of drummed up this, like, it turned Nürburgring into this just mythological place.
Yes. That's right. I remember I'd only seen the Nürburgring on a Best Motoring VHS.
Oh,
At that
damn.
point. Best Motoring, the very first compilation of VHS, the Type R Legend. At the end, there's a bonus. I think it was Gonson attacking the Nürburgring
Oh,
with
damn.
an S2000 and no helmet in the top down. It was so terrifying. I was like, what is this track? Who is this man? And then I remember being really excited seeing it in Gran Turismo 4, and then, yeah, that's when I learned it.
Gonson. What a character.
That guy, all those guys.
You guys seen the video of the Nissan Option 350Z crashing at the Silver State Classic?
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
Yeah.
That was Gonson driving, and crashed at 220 and then
Oh my
just gets out
God.
unscathed.
Teflon Gonson.
Teflon Gonson. Wow. Perfect.
It's
I
insanity.
know that was him.
Were you, Cyrus, pretty heavy into Gran Turismo 5 when it came out?
So I'm trying to remember, was GT5 before or after Forza 4?
I want to say before.
So I think...
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's right. So 5 Prologue was the very first game I played with a wheel. And I remember thinking it was the most difficult thing in the entire world trying to drift. And then
Yeah.
same with GT5. Yeah, I did play that one a lot.
Damn. When I type in Forza 4, it gives me Forza Horizon 4.
Yes.
That's so sad. But so yeah, Forza Motorsport 4 came out after GT5, October 11, 2011 versus GT5's November 2010, which could have been November 2009, 2008, May 2008.
Gosh, has it really been that long? Jeez.
That's crazy.
Besides it being a long time. How old are you, Cyrus? You gonna make me feel good, or are you gonna make me feel bad?
I will be 36 in 3 days.
Damn.
Oh, wow. Happy
Okay,
early
good.
birthday.
Thank you very much.
Sorry to ask that so bluntly, but just to give people a reference for, what kind of games we were buying at different ages and stuff and how old we were. Like, we're pretty close. I'm 33, so we're right in there. Same high school.
Yeah, we'd be in the same class, wouldn't we?
Yeah, I would be too dumb. Yeah. No, it doesn't work. Anyway, I am too dumb, but not in that way. Okay.
We all have our moments.
I was trying to make fun of myself, and I failed at that even. Okay.
It's hard when you try the self-deprecating humor and then all your friends just feel bad for you. Like, oh, you're fine.
That happened to me on the way up the stairs to sit down here. I tried to be self-deprecating to my wife, and it just, I didn't make sense. You have to make sense, first of all.
Yeah.
But the words came out like it was just, I don't know, like a train crash of vowels and consonants.
I go by now.
Yeah. It's just like she laughed and kind of gave me a look of like, well, you tried, honey. I love you.
It's okay.
Just a keeper. But yeah, go ahead.
I apologies for the interruption. I just wanted to ask Cyrus, since you brought up Urki, I see you and Urki on SV, and I'm curious what the origins of the SV team are and your involvement.
Man, so it's another just huge piece of luck in my life. I've been so lucky with so many of the opportunities that I've had. So I met the guy who started Team SV. So SV stands for Street Version. Street Version is a Toge sim racing team.
Nice.
And they focus entirely on essentially living the Initial D dream digitally. And I didn't actually know that initially. And what's funny is that was my, like, I fell in love with Initial D in the early 2000s.
Yes, likewise.
Yeah, and we'd go out and try to find all the twisties around our houses and try not to die. And, and so anyways, I was invited to join the team, like, representing Gran Turismo, just because the guy, his name's Mind was trying to get more involved in Gran Turismo. And I, like, for a year, I just was never really involved. I'm the strangest introvert you'll ever meet. Like, I'm sitting here on stream yelling at people for hours, and then I just hide in my room for the rest of my life. And so I never, like, reached out. I never talked to him that much and did anything with the team until I caught one of his streams and saw that he was having a Toge competition. I don't know how I had missed for so long that I was part of a sim racing team that organizes Toge competitions. And around that time, Urki and I both started getting more involved. I got Urki to watch Initial D, and he got super excited for it. So now we've been competing in Toge competitions on AC. And,
dude, that's awesome. Urki's so cool.
Fun. Urki's such a good guy.
Yeah, man. Oh, nothing but pure. Like, you know those. Well, I don't know. Did you really get into the? Well, no. Yeah, that happened in the anime. The auras that you can feel off of drivers, which is totally relatable in sim racing as well.
Yeah.
I always feel nothing but the most like just pure kind of positive energy coming from his car. So, and that's rare.
He's a rare one. He's an incredible dude.
Yeah.
He's so funny because he'll roast me for 6 hours while we're gaming, like the most brutal roasting, and then he'll message me and like, "Hey, how's the family?"
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good guy,
Love
and
that.
he's so fast. So he started sim racing on Gran Turismo. That's from GT Sport. And he's only been doing this stuff for like 3 years total.
Damn, that's impressive.
He's
really is
so impressive. And yeah, I think he's beaten me on the last 2 Toge competitions. He's fast in iRacing. He's fast on ACC. All started in GT Sport.
So can I ask a question about the Toge competition? It's in Assetto Corsa, the original, yes?
Yeah.
And so is it it's like grip racing, or is it Initial D, like where you drift around hairpins and stuff?
Yeah, it's all grip racing, but due to the nature of the hairpins and such, a lot of times the fastest route around is with a little bit oversteer. And
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's literally living the dream. It's what I wanted.
That's so cool.
Like in 2002. It's exactly what I wanted in 2002.
Right.
And
it's out there.
Yeah, and if you've never tried AC, there's this incredible, it's a mod itself. It's called Content Manager, and this absolute genius of a dude is the guy who made it, and it makes modding the game the easiest thing in the world. You can drag and drop a link from anywhere into Content Manager. It'll take care of everything for you, repair the game for you. So we use that, and there are thousands of cars, thousands of tracks. AC is crazy. It's definitely still up because of the modding community.
Yeah, and it's really good. Well, I was just gonna say, anyone that's listening to this that thinks, oh, maybe I don't have a good computer for it. AC is very different from ACC.
Yeah.
Assetto Corsa Competizione. That is a new one, okay? Comprende? And that one is a resource hog. It's very difficult to run. So AC in comparison is really, like, if you have a pretty beefy laptop, you could run it.
Absolutely.
Try it out. Use your gamepad for a minute, or you can, if you have a wheel, you plug the wheel in. It does work pretty decently-ish. I'm sure there's mods to make the joypad support better too, but yeah.
Sure.
I guess that's what happens when it's a small studio. AC, I guess, was made by like 2 people or something initially.
Oh wow.
Yeah, Marco and Simon, something like that. Yeah,
So-
2 just super passionate Italian guys that were tired of not being. They're like us, but they had talent to program.
Yeah.
They're like, we're tired of not having what we want. Yeah,
Let's make it.
Yep.
yeah.
You can unfortunately see that it was definitely a small team when it comes to the UI of the console versions.
Oh, the console. I've never actually flipped it on. I bought the thing for like $2 when
Yeah.
Toys R Us was liquidating. Because I had the full PC version for a long time, but I just never popped it in. But you're saying the UI is like notorious?
It's real. I don't want to talk bad about them, but it's not good.
Yeah.
I guess, when you're like Microsoft or EA, that's when you can put thousands of people to work just optimizing things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's a thing with sim racing games on PC. They're just never. I mean, Gran Turismo is like leaps and bounds and eons way better than any other UI for any sim racing game.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
They just don't think about it. They're just too. They're caught up completely with the physics and everything, so which is understandable.
Yeah.
So, Cyrus, you're a full-time streamer now,
Yes.
and you've been one for how long?
So I'm a fake full-time streamer. I'm gonna start. So I haven't quote unquote made it, but I've been doing it now for a little bit over 2 years. I was at a dead-end job, but I also worked as a stuntman. But to really make it as a stuntman, you either need to be insanely talented or live in one of the hot spots, and I am neither of those things. So I talked to my wife, and after dabbling in streaming for a bit, I was like, listen, honey, this is crazy, but what if I quit my job and you pay all our bills while I play video games? And so here we are.
Living the dream.
The dream.
The dream. So it was, I had done a lot of research. Like I talked to a few people I knew who'd streamed, who'd been streamers, and then a few people who had made it as streamers as well, to see what it would, like what the chances of actually eventually being able to pay all of my bills with streaming. And I talked it over with Molly, my wife, and we decided so it was right around the time that she became a nurse. So while she was in nursing school, I pretty much supported her, and then so she's like, let's flip the tables, flip the tables. That's an angry thing. Flip the script, and let's try it out. And so I'm so far way ahead of schedule, and so I think it's
great.
gonna work out.
That's awesome to hear.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so I hope so. We're still moving on up.
Well, what I've noticed, I was curious about is like, do you feel like it's hard to be just a Gran Turismo streamer? You kind of need to supplement it with other games and hangout times and all of that, build a community.
Yeah. So, what's really interesting about the Gran Turismo community specifically is it's a relatively small community for Twitch, but it's really passionate and surprisingly friendly. Like pretty much every Gran Turismo streamer knows each other, and you'll see all the same faces. For the most part. The funny thing is, I think that if I focused only on Gran Turismo, I think I might be doing better than I am at the moment. Because you do want to build a community, and I think in general, it's risky and difficult trying to be a single game streamer. That was actually one of the biggest things that I saw. Like I'll see tweets all the time, like I just lost 500 people the first time I played a video game that wasn't the same single player video game I've been playing for 8 years. That kind of stuff.
Right.
And so I wanted to make sure from the beginning that even if it was going to take longer, then I'd want to be doing something I could sustain. And so I figured, I love Call of Duty, I love Gran Turismo, I love sim racing. Let's focus on those two. And strangely enough, the first month that I did it, I was only Call of Duty, and then I was worried that no one was going to want to watch Gran Turismo. And now, fast forward 2 years, I still have like the same amount of people watching me playing Call of Duty, while Gran Turismo's blown up.
That's great.
That's awesome.
Do you find that, like, it's obvious that Twitch is a platform for streamers to interact with chat,
Yeah.
and I'm a budding streamer myself, so I'm sorry for the kind of selfish line of questioning here.
All good.
But how much interaction is there such a thing as too much interaction?
Too much interaction? No.
Okay, thought so.
And when it comes to not enough interaction, that's also difficult. Because
Okay.
we all know Turismo Lester.
Oh yes, Mr. Mark Pennell.
Yes, sir. He doesn't. I mean,
Yeah.
he doesn't actually use a microphone. No face cam.
Windfire's the same.
And super successful in doing all that. I think
Yeah.
that right there, when it comes to one of the biggest things. I mean, besides the fact that we all love Turismo Lester.
But he does type into the chat though, right?
He does, absolutely. So
Yeah,
he
that's
does
the thing.
interact.
That's his voice.
Yeah.
That's exactly. He's just so damn good. Everyone
It's
Everyone just
hardcore.
loves watching
And
that.
he was cool seeing him go really hard on Fall Guys too.
Oh, I
Yeah.
didn't see that actually.
Yeah, he became very good and very quickly at Fall Guys.
So many of the North
Right?
American
I
top
thought that
split
was
guys
weird.
played.
Yeah, it's
I've
like
never
what?
won.
Transferring? Now they have a mode where it's all races. I was getting down on that the other day.
Oh,
I was like,
interesting.
"Yep, this is my shit."
Yeah, when that was new, there was a cadre of like Def Sun and Dodge Lamb and Lester and Windfire and a few other people who were just going ham for like 6 hours every day on Fall Guys.
Oh yeah, it was heavy. That was a heavy tidal wave. It's out to sea now.
It's crazy how it was a flash in the pan indeed.
Yeah, I didn't even play it long enough to get to the first like big update. It's just like, all right, I've had
Me
enough,
too.
and I put the game away.
Yeah.
Good game, but you know,
You guys ever get a win?
Oh, it was close
I
once.
got one or two maybe.
I got 0.
I got kind of close once. The other day I got pretty close. Like I had a really good start on Fall Mountain, and please, listeners, do not churn that dial. I'm just gonna be quick with this story about Fall Guys, and I swear to God, we're gonna talk about his stuntman work, which is a million times.
It's too late. I've
more
already
interesting.
tuned out. You've lost me.
So check it out, right? I was starting on Fall Mountain. I was the first guy in the pack. I had a head start. And then I run into the stupid whirly thing that has a hammer on it, and I get slammed to the ground. And that's the end. Okay.
Yeah.
That had drama. It had suspense.
Right?
It had humor.
Yep. That special inflection.
That was perfect.
You had me
Thank
totally
you.
convinced. I was in another world for a moment.
Excuse me,
it's
I need
cool.
to use my inhaler real quick because I'm a hilarious asthmatic.
See, doing all that crazy stunt work, super respect. Doing this tricking, for those, I can use this time to explain tricking way better than Cyrus can, so let me just lay it out. Oh, I made him laugh. Sorry.
No, it's good. It's fine.
With tricking, you know those guys who do tricks where they like jump up in the air and flip and do cool kicks and like, that stuff. Look it up. Anyway,
That's it?
he's really good at it.
Thanks, man. That's about it. That's the best description.
It's like breakdancing in the air.
Yeah.
Yes. I used to tell people, so I taught tricking for about a decade, and I told people it was breakdancing if breakdancing was invented by ninjas.
Oh, that's a good way of putting it.
Badass.
Tricking's hilarious.
It's all
remember
about like
s-
it's like
yeah.
moments of inertia and center of gravity and
Yeah.
manipulation of limbs to just. Anyway, I'm sure you could describe it better than I could. I might have interrupted you, Eddie. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. I was just going to say, like, that, yeah, it's like another comparison. It's like, stuntmen movies. Or
Yeah.
action movies where stuntmen are doing crazy flip tricks in the air. Okay, we're saying the same thing over and over.
Let's talk another 20 minutes about tricking, and then maybe we'll get back to Gran Turismo.
It's so visual. Like, I'm really just trying to beg these people to take a moment and check it out. And then, yeah. And what's your Instagram? We could drop that.
Oh, Tyrannosaurus Rex. It's the exact same as... Yeah.
Cyrus Rex.
I need to know the origins of that name, please.
Okay, so... I don't actually remember, except that I was making funny name puns one day, and I realized that my name fits perfectly in Tyrannosaurus Rex, and also I'm angry and have short arms like a T-Rex, so it's perfect. And it all fits.
Those stubby little things.
I genuinely do have really short arms. Like, it's a funny thing. Like, it got in the way doing martial arts. Like, your arms are supposed to be as long as your height, right? My arms are 2 inches shorter than my height. It's not fair.
I don't know if I've ever actually measured
Oh,
mine.
yeah.
I know this because I always get punched in the face. I'm like, why am I getting punched in the face all the time? And my
reach is
training
important.
partner is, like, he's 6'4", but he has a 6'7" reach. So that was really bad.
Have you ever tried just like really big boxing gloves?
Just a glove on a glove.
Yeah, that'll extend your reach.
Gloveception.
The ultimate strategy. How come no one's thought of it?
Well, don't feel too bad about, the short Tyrannosaurus arms, Cyrus, because that means that you can play chopsticks on the piano better than anybody.
Exactly. Exactly.
Priorities. Yeah.
So I have to admit that I stalked you
Yes.
earlier today in the effort of compiling some questions and such, and I hope you don't mind if I get a little personal.
I love
Ask
it.
about your birthplace, Hawaii.
Yes.
Where are you from, and do you visit often, and do you have a favorite place?
So, not to bring it all down, but I have no connection with my my Filipino side, which is in Hawaii. I was born there in '84, and then my mother took me and left my father when I was 2.
Oh.
We got right out of there. So I've actually never been back home, and pretty much I've only met that part of my family like once. So I was raised by the southern side of my family, Southern Americans.
I got you. Where's your mom from?
So mom's from Oklahoma. I grew up mostly in San Jose, California, and moved up to Oregon in '96. And then I've been in and around Portland, Oregon ever since then.
So you were in the Bay Area for '89 earthquake, the
Yes.
Loma Prieta.
Yes, I was.
What do you remember about that?
I remember I was walking home with my my mom and my stepbrother, and I remember for years being proud that I was the only person that didn't fall on their ass. And it was really terrifying, really, really terrifying. We all stood outside for like 2 hours afterwards, trying to deal with the aftershocks. We were far enough away from the epicenter that it didn't do much more than break glasses out of cupboards and stuff like that. But it was terrifying. That was scary stuff.
Wild.
Do you think if it? Well, okay. Here's a question of the show. How big of a magnitude would it take for you to stop sim racing if you're in the lead?
Wait, to stop?
So So how high a magnitude earthquake?
Oh, gotcha.
I'm like, man.
Well,
I mean, like,
question
I would
for
have
both of
answered,
you.
like, if I just felt kind of depressed, I'd put the controller away.
I
I had
was
no idea we were
sad.
talking about the earthquake. Sorry, please. Anyway, go ahead with your answer.
I'd have to say it'd have to be at least in the 4s.
Oh, 4. You are in Oregon. You don't get much, do you?
We do not. It's been
4 would be
I remember
alarming.
The last earthquake I was in was in '95 in San Jose.
What about you, Tristan? Bay Area resident.
Well, I'm from Santa Rosa, and I live in Vallejo. And I've only lived away from here for 2 years out of my life. And I'm 36, so I don't know if I can do the math, but anyway, the most recent earthquake, I mean, like, we get like tumblers, or tremblers, like 3.0s pretty regularly. I'd say maybe once every couple of months, something that you just feel the bed kind of shake or something for 10 seconds. Most recent big earthquake, it might even be high school, one that I was here for. There have been a few that happened when I was out of town for a weekend, like a 6.0 that happened in Napa a couple of years ago that almost tipped some trains over.
Oh.
It was so violent. And created what was it was a notable earthquake because it was one of the first earthquakes that had a bunch of security cameras on at night to document this very rare phenomenon of like ground lightning that only occurs during earthquakes. So that was cool.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's a crazy phenomenon. It's like ball lightning. It's one of those things that is like scientifically it exists, but there's just like nothing on tape. It was one of the first times they got it on tape.
I know what I'm Googling later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ball lightning was going to be my other name before I chose Juarez.
Makes sense. Absolutely.
Goodness. Yeah. I was going to answer the question. Most recent significant earthquake was actually back when I was in high school. I was on a golf course, and I remember it came at me like a wave, and it lifted the fairway like 5 or 6 feet. This just wave of like earth coming at me, and it lifted me up and then set me back down, and then the ground looked like it had been just a moment before, but it caused a bunch of glasses to crash out of cupboards and such in houses adjacent to the golf course. So it was strong enough to do that kind of a damage, but that was wild. It was like surfing a wave.
That's craziness.
Yeah. I was going to ask you about Portland. Sorry. So, if you're a car guy, do you have pretty cool tricked out car for your tricking?
Me tricking. I have 2 cars. One doesn't run, and that's why I bought the second one.
You're a true car guy.
Exactly, yeah.
Continue.
Yeah, exactly. My 240, the first question I will answer is no, it's not all the same color. And I have an S13, got a hatchback with an SR20, and that's the one that doesn't run. That was my daily for a while because I'm an idiot. And that one stopped working right around when I became a stuntman. So I was like, you know what? I can now afford to buy something cooler. At the time, Molly worked for Perrin Performance, Subaru tuners. And so I was like, hey, you guys should help me find a Subaru. So then I didn't say this part. I'm like, so if there's any like experimental parts or anything, you could just go ahead and see if like maybe my car. And I gave them my budget. They're like, you can't afford one. You can't afford an STI, Cyrus. Just buy a Corvette. I was like, that's the weirdest sentence I've ever heard.
Yeah.
And so I Googled it, and a week later I bought a Corvette because it was cheaper than an STI. So I've got a C6.
Oh, sweet.
All right. Those are
cool.
solid.
Manual.
And I love her. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. My friend had one. It was beautiful.
It's
Feels so
good.
low. That's cool. And yeah, go ahead.
I apologize. You go ahead, dude.
No. I was probably going to trail off, so go ahead. I mean, I was going to, like, kind of, follow up anyway, so go ahead.
I've tossed around a C6 a lot myself, but I wanted to ask if you've like autocrossed it, if you've done any kind of competitive events with your Corvette.
I have not. I've been on a track once and done autocross once as well, and neither of them were my
Cyrus
car.
Cross.
Cyrus Cross. My friends used to tell me I had to have 2 kids named Otto and Raleigh.
That would be sick. That's so cool. You have like a stage name. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's super funny. It was not.
Oops.
I thought that was me.
We got some music. We got unexpected tunes.
Yeah.
Those are sometimes the best tunes.
That was weird.
The best things in
YouTube
life are often
randomly played.
unexpected.
But yes, continue.
Do you have a dream car?
Oh
Cyrus?
man, I'm a product of Gran Turismo. I would eventually love an S15 and an R34.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
Still in love with both of them.
They're gonna be so expensive in the future.
I know,
Every
it's
year.
so sad. Just every year.
Dude,
We
like
have
anything with a combustion engine is going to be super expensive.
Oh, true. Especially a choice one like that. We have
Indeed.
Rent JDM here in Vegas. We can rent right-hand drive GTR, R34, R33, R32, even like Cappuccino, Suzuki Cappuccinos, K cars, all kinds of cool stuff. Shout outs to Rent JDM. Hook me up, guys.
That's actually super cool.
Yeah, if you're ever in Vegas. But
Cyrus, do you have your R34 dream car narrowed down to like specifically? Is it like a GTS? Is it a GTR? Is it a Mines GTR?
Oh my god, the mines.
oh, mine's is awesome.
That one's amazing. I still remember watching that. Was that on Best Motoring or?
I think it was Urito and Tsuchiya testing it out.
He's like, I feel like I'm doing a wheelie.
They said this car is too fast.
Yeah. It needs to be V-Spec too.
Yeah,
And it's got to
V-Spec
be
2, dude.
Bayside Blue.
I love the Z-Tune. Z-Tune's my ultimate dream. R34.
Man, there's so many editions.
The Z-Tune. I remember seeing a video of it in Australia where it just opened up on the freeway, and it was just I became a man that day.
It's glorious.
But how's the car culture in Portland? I know a GT Planet mod lives in Portland, and he's always complained about the car culture. I guess they don't fix the streets very much and all that.
Streets are destroyed. So it snows like 2 days out of the year every other year, and people have their studs on for 6 months at a time.
Oh, jeez.
And so the roads are terrible, just terrible.
Rally,
right?
Yep.
There's actually, I mean, they do amateur rally at PIR, which is cool. I want to get into that. I think that I feel like there's like a sampling of every car culture around here, but there used to be a really big underground drift scene like 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew a couple guys that were heavily into it, and it was way before drifting got big, and I was in love with it, and I didn't even have a car that could reliably get me from point A to point B, so I never did any of that. But yeah, my friends would always go to the secret spots and excuse me, come back with the worst recorded videos on their old like like on a VHS camcorder because it was 2001, 2002.
Mm-hmm.
But besides that, there's just every little bit. There's Cork Sport is up here, which is like a world famous rotary tuner, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've heard of them.
And then Perrin's here. There's a place that used to be called PSI that would tune a bunch of like a lot of the cars you see blowing up on YouTube. I mean, literally and figuratively, like the 0 to 300, like 0 to 200 cars, and then I think one of them famously blew up in Texas or something a couple years ago. But yeah.
Interesting. Do you find do you go out into the wilderness of Oregon, Washington at all?
I do not. So I've had asthma my entire life. Being outside is usually a death sentence to me.
Oh, well.
So, which is hilarious. Being up here, I never do anything outdoorsy.
Okay. Well, you're not alone, my friend.
Perfect.
Yeah, I just hurt my ankle last weekend doing outdoorsy stuff.
No.
Yeah, I was out at Red
Injuries
Rock.
are the worst.
Yeah, Red Rock has a lot of rocks, and you can get your foot stuck between them and fall forward, and your ankle does weird stuff. And now I'm on crutches.
Oof.
You really?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go into Teacher Cyrus mode. And
Sweet. Yeah, I was hoping for this.
Hey Tristan, make sure you get Cyrus. I fucked up my ankle. And so
The clan comes together.
The universe.
So ankle stuff is really crazy because like your muscles that work in coordination with your ankle in your butt region just turn off when your ankles get messed up, and they don't turn back on by themselves. So do some PT. Seek out PT once it's healed, because I started with an ankle injury and then had a litany of injuries over the past 15, 20 years that were incredibly hard to figure out. And my wife had an ankle injury. Ankle injuries mess you up for a very long time if you don't get ahead of them. But if you get ahead of them, you're going to be fine.
Thanks. Yeah, I appreciate that. I was going to ask you about, because I've been doing a lot of rehab already, because I've read that it's good to kind of start it going early and it makes the healing process happen. And thankfully, I was doing PT already before this accident for rock climbing, and I was getting my arm, because I had a problem with chronic pain in my arm, which I had just barely started making better. So thankfully I have like a bunch of resistance bands and all this stuff.
Good.
So
Oh, great.
I should be all right. And it's kind of fun. I kind of see my body like a race car, sort of.
Yeah.
I mean, like a little tin top in the back of a garage in England or something. But yeah, it's performance based, and I'm trying to make sure that I take care of my joints and all that. So yeah, thanks.
That's awesome.
Did you tear something in your ankle?
I don't know yet. Swelling Swelling just started really going down, so I'm gonna go for an MRI probably next week. Hope They didn't see anything acute though when I did an X-ray.
Good.
So, could have been worse for sure.
Good. Yeah, get in front of that stuff because it's crazy how that stuff compounds. I've had far too many injuries over the past 20 years.
If it's okay for me to ask, what's maybe not the worst injury, but what's the most interesting injury?
Oh man, I've had so many interesting ones specifically. The most recent one I'm dealing with was I thought that excuse me. So I thought I dislocated my fibula in my left leg.
Ooh.
I was doing a really stupid trick that I shouldn't be doing, and I essentially jumped off my left foot and then did 2 horizontal spins, and I was going to land back on my left foot and then try to do that again.
Oh, is that? Oh.
And I landed short, and when I hit the ground, my foot hit, and I don't have a lot of dorsiflexion in my ankle, so my toes don't go towards my shin very well because I have massive bone spurs in there. And so the energy had to go somewhere, and my fibula made this popping noise, and then it had swollen up. And the reason I thought it had popped out then is because it had popped out in the past, and a chiropractor fixed me up. And so I assumed that it had popped out, so I waited a couple months before doing anything, and slowly did what I was supposed to get back. Like, I did what I was supposed to fix that specific issue. I had to keep popping it back in myself, or what I thought was popping it back in, and I started getting this really weird pain pretty much every time I'd go up or down stairs in my inner knee. And so I thought they were connected. So I went to the doctor, got x-rays, and the x-rays were inconclusive because it just looked weird. So I got an MRI, and the MRIs were still super inconclusive. And then talking to the doctors, we're pretty sure that I didn't dislocate it, but I broke it down the center.
Oh.
So like split it, but then it healed, split. And so like I now have 2 like fibular heads on the top, and you can see the muscles diverging towards the center. But it's all good now, luckily. And it turns out the inner knee pain was completely unrelated, so that's fixed too.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so it was all a weird journey to figure out that I had healed on my own, and then the other thing was just me being dumb and sitting too much.
Today I learned that Cyrus is more human than human.
Meta human.
Yep. That's amazing. That's incredible what the human body can do when left to its own devices.
Right? Yeah, it seems to have fully healed, just split.
Wicked.
Sim racing is the worst thing in the entire world for wanting to be a tricker, by the way, or do martial arts.
Why is that?
So you should not be sitting down for more than 15 to 20 minutes at a time for your back health.
Yeah.
And there are so many things that can go wrong with sitting down too much, especially sitting in like a specific position. Pretty much the position of sim racing is opposite of the position I need to be in, but because I do so much sim racing and sitting down in general, I have to do so much, I guess it's not PT, but like preventative work.
Gosh, I'd love to pick your brain. Maybe we don't have to do it here, but regarding exactly that and the type of exercises you do, I bet there would be a lot of people who would be interested to hear that.
Yeah.
Because like I like to think I'm not in terrible shape, but when you're sitting down casting and streaming and sim racing for so many hours of every day, I put my hands like rubbing like my neck behind my head, and I can feel a couple of the vertebrae like protruding. And a few years ago they didn't protrude, so that really worries me. Anyway, I just want to get across that I know that stuff's important, and I'm totally ignorant to what I should be doing.
I've spent so much of my life trying to figure out what I should be doing, and I still am not 100% sure. So you're not alone in that either. There's so much, but the main thing is that I can tell you is there's this rule. There's a guy who wrote this book, a really interesting book, called Becoming a Supple Leopard. I can't remember his name, but he has a general rule that for every 15 minutes that you sit down, you have to do 2 minutes of corrective stretching.
Wow.
Okay.
Every 15 minutes that you're sitting down. And so if you think about your sim racing practice at the end of that, how long you have to be doing hip flexor stretches, it's crazy.
Let's see. So if that's 8 minutes an hour times 6 is 48 minutes of stretching. Can I just lump it all into the very end, or do I have to break it out every 15 minutes?
So the best thing to do would be standing up like once every 45 minutes. That's what my coach suggested when I had a coach.
Okay.
And even if you stand up for like a minute at a time and then go through some basic hip stretches, that's way better than sitting down the whole time and then trying to figure it out at the end.
Uh-oh.
Oh, he's back.
Lost you for a second. You're back.
You're good.
Oh, I've arrived.
So it's, yeah.
You were in the middle of stand-up stretches.
Essentially, every 45 minutes you should be standing up when you're practicing your sim racing for a couple minutes at a time and stretching during that time. It's infinitely better than trying to lump it all in at the end.
Makes sense.
It's probably good for performance in the sim as well, because I've noticed that if I kind of break it up and, like, if I'm really trying to hit a time trial hard, it's been a while since that's been the case, but I would try to break it up. I would do the Pomodoro method, which is something like 30 minutes on, 15 minutes off.
Yeah. I just heard about that.
Yeah. So I was thinking of it in more of a, like, brain sense, not so much physical. But for the physical stuff, I mean, you'll feel more refreshed if you kind of just stand up. Turn a pit stop into a stand-up rest, which sounds kind of counterintuitive, but ends up actually helping you because, yeah, you need it until the sim racing market catches up with like ergonomic racing chairs and stuff. Mm-hmm. We have to take it upon ourselves to do all that we can. And I've actually, take it from the old guys. This is the old guys to young guys segment of the podcast. I've had problems with my arm that I've tried to, blame on all kinds of different things. Like we've been pulling our heads out, our hairs out, trying to figure out, like, is it you using a mouse? Is it you, like, is there arm pain because you're, like slapping yourself in the arm in your sleep? Like, we don't understand what it is.
Oh, damn.
And so then
How did they know that I do that?
Exactly.
It's amazing.
And it was my chair. I realized it was my stupid, cheap-ass bucket seat that doesn't have hardly any padding left anymore. So I got some, for now I just got some pads from like AutoZone to put in my chair. But I noticed this the most when I went to my friend's house to use his rig, and he had like a really nice plushy sim racing seat. And I didn't have the arm pain because on my rig, I would be racing for like 30 minutes and my arm would start hurting. And it would start affecting me. You got to focus. Racing and sim racing is all about ultimate focus, right? So, if I'm kind of diverting my attention to my painful arm, that's kind of messed me up. So, I'm fixing that now.
There you go. Yeah. It's crazy how a lack of padding or like a slight little like elevation. I had crazy neck issues when I first started streaming, like 6 months into it. And I found that I didn't realize it, but my chair was halfway up on my rug, and just that was enough to make me tilt my head like a centimeter, which compounded and compounded and compounded, and I started having nerve issues in my left arm because of my neck. And
totally.
The instant that I moved it off the rug, it completely went away.
That's
so
astounding.
can you paint that picture again for me, or a little more?
So I was streaming from my living room. And I was on my chair that I'd sit in was, it was halfway on the rug, so two of the
so you're
legs.
angled.
Yeah, so it was angled, and so my head was tilted just slightly. And I started having, I had hurt my neck like 10 years before, and I had some nerve issues at the time, but it went away after about 2 weeks, but they came back full force after streaming for 6 months. And then I discovered that it was my chair, and the day that I moved it off the rug, it all went away.
I believe it.
It's craziness.
It's amazing how just a slight asymmetry over a long period of time can wreak havoc to all of those sinewy muscles that hold the vertebrae exactly so.
Absolutely. It's annoying.
Yeah.
Stupid body.
Why are we so fragile? Come on.
Why you gotta do so much for us, and then just the one time I screw up and you gotta let me know that you're hurting, it's done.
Dude,
You're fired.
I want some inversion straps.
Yeah.
The inversion is supposed to be really good for everything. So it's like pretty much just hold you upside down against the wall, or
Yeah.
like on a pull-up bar kind of situation. It's pretty cool. I'm hearing really a lot of good stuff about that. So I'm going bat style eventually,
Imagine
hanging
seeing
upside
that.
down.
Well, Ed, if you ever feel like you need some extra motivation any day, just don't forget that you have a rolled up poster of me in your closet.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Sounds like I have another new customer.
Trying.
Well, we'll talk after this real quick.
Excellent. Free shipping on all orders over $40.
The plug, perfect.
Yep. It's funny. Cyrus, a little bit back to Gran Turismo. I'm wondering how your 2020 season went.
Oh man. Man, I was struggling before and into the season. Felt like I was not getting better whatsoever, and I definitely had some equipment issues that I didn't know about. And when I fixed my main equipment issue, things started getting much better. And yeah, I started performing way better than I had.
What was this issue that you discovered?
So I bought this TV specifically for streaming and racing because I found on this website that it had the very smallest amount of input lag. It's not input lag, it's the other lag. Display lag.
Display latency.
Yeah, it was the least amount of display lag that you could get in a TV. And so I bought it, set it up, and like I always do, I didn't read the instruction manual. And I found out pretty much a year later that I did not have it on the correct game mode. So rather than 14 milliseconds, it was at, 60?
Oh, goodness.
I was racing for a year on 60 millisecond input lag, or display lag.
Excuses.
Right? And so, like, I was like, this... So I'd had... A few times I'd had equipment issues that I'd blamed for other really big things, such as not getting into GT Academy 2015. And I'd fixed all of those right as I got the TV, and then nothing got better. I'm like, I guess it's just me. I gotta figure this out. And so I just kept training. And then I remember one day I'd seen a video I wanted to double check that it really had the latency that was advertised. And I realized that it's a Samsung OLED, and it has a game mode, but then there's a hidden game mode within the game mode to turn off some more fancy features, which really puts it at 14. And I remember I remember it was Dragon Trail Gardens 2, and it was the night before the race that I discovered this. And I think I was like barely out of the top 10 for the practice, and then 5 to 10 minutes after changing to the true input lag, I immediately took off 2/10 and was well into the top 10, and then I had the best race that I'd ever had.
Nice.
The next day. So I was like, okay,
It's huge, man.
here we
Gosh,
go.
I almost want to say I remember that. Being like, oh, damn, Cyrus is like third or something.
Yeah.
I forget. But I do remember there was some race, and I kind of want to say it was a Gardens race where like you just appeared on the top 10.
Yeah, it was a huge difference in performance. Like I think I qualied second behind Outlaw. Lloyd's was behind me, and then I held him off until the very end, and I think I got third.
That is, I think if anyone can hold off Lloyd's, it's like that's the year's accomplishments in the pocket.
That was the best feeling that I'd had in sim racing, I think, for years at that point. And then it was so good to know that it was just my equipment and I didn't just suck really bad forever. I was really sad for a really long time leading up to that moment.
And you kind of have to adjust because you kind of have like this sensibility of driving around that issue, and so you'll be quicker for like very obvious parts like turn in where it helps immediately, but then you still have to kind of get used to the exit and all that, like optimizing. So it's wild, and that is a huge thing. I feel like a lot of people are really it would be much more competitive if more people kind of didn't short themselves with situations like yours, which are pretty. I feel like they're just very ubiquitous.
good
That's
word.
a great question. How would the competitive landscape change if everyone were, if they gave a second thought or a little extra investigation into their controller and monitor latency?
Yeah.
It made a huge difference for me in a very similar way it did to you. So that's incredible and interesting to ponder.
It's really interesting to think. And so I'd also thought about how the latency still really affects sim racing, but potentially slightly less than like with first-person shooters. It seems like, because I went back to test it, and it feels like your car is just softer because everything just kind of like responds slower.
Kind of like a marshmallow input, like the
Yeah.
tire sod wall has a lot of flex to it
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah, because I remember the feeling. It felt like I had unlocked a softer compound. It was interesting.
It was a giveaway when we all got together when I met Tristan at regionals in Vegas for the Nations Cup 2017, and getting on the rigs. It was a giveaway if you said, "Oh, the physics are different." It's like, no, actually, that tells me that you have a shitty monitor at your home.
Right. Yeah. Oh, that's a good point. That's interesting to think about.
Yeah, a few people. I forget who said that exactly, but I remember that was a common
This
theme
guy.
among.
I was like, what? There's no why am I not having the oversteer exiting out of Dragon Trail chicane for first corner to second corner or whatever? Yeah,
That was
those
quite
are
a
some
time.
nice TVs. They hook it up and they when you race at
Yeah,
the events.
They're quite serious.
I really liked the rigs for at GT Academy. That was the first time I'd used a wheel.
Oh,
besides-
you had those like circular ones, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah,
Those
those are
looked cool.
those are cool. Yeah. And in GT Academy, you had it was kind of the first year where they introduced fitness events in the semis, right?
Yeah.
And you guys drove in New York, that one track, I forget the name.
Monticello, I think.
Yeah.
We thought we were going to Monticello, but we didn't. We ended
So it
up
was
going to-
2015.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay.
But the funny thing is, we all thought we were going there. So pretty much
Right.
everyone, we got on the bus, and we're like, all right, where do you think we're going? And it was like, Monticello. It's the only place that's close. And I was like, that's what I thought too. And then one of the camera guys was sitting like a couple seats ahead, and he turns on his camera, turns around, and he goes, where do you guys think we're going? And we're like, wait, what? We're like, I guess we're wrong. And so we're just driving around, and then someone noticed it first. We go by this parking lot, and there's these GT Academy 370Zs. We're like, oh, we're doing autocross. Okay. And so we pulled in there, and that was the first day. That was really exciting. I did not make it to the finals for the fitness part, which I'm glad about, because my asthma would make it really hilarious.
Oh, yeah,
Gosh.
it would have been tough.
Trying to think of there's got to be some successful pro race car drivers who also have asthma.
For sure.
Um,
There's asthmatics everywhere. I was like anaerobically pretty good shape at that time. Aerobically, I did zero cardio and did nothing but tricking at that point when it came to working out, and so I would have gassed out real fast. That would have been hilarious.
the autocrossing, the first day at GT Academy.
Yeah.
How much time did you spend in the car?
So we did. We got to do just one lap around, learning we got a track walk with Danny Sullivan, which was incredible. And then we did one lap to just learn it, and then we got 2 full speed runs after that. And that was about it.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember Armin being real confident and real fast. And then another friend that I met, Edgar. Are you guys familiar with Edgar? Edgar
No.
Lau?
Oh yeah. Edgar's cool. He's world. It's cool following him on Facebook.
Yeah, it is.
He races like in the Asian Le Mans series,
Yeah.
and then he's like
That's
always just racking up all the mileage going around the world.
So I'm pretty sure like most of the international racing stuff he got into because of GT Academy.
Yeah, it's
Nice.
like American
Nice.
Idol effect. That's what
Yeah.
they kept telling us.
Yeah, absolutely. So like he was I believe he was an instructor in like at Laguna, and then afterwards he ended up like racing on Jackie Chan's racing team, and
It's so cool.
yeah. So
Oh,
he
that's
was,
right.
I think he was the fastest that day.
Okay.
And then that was the first time I'd ever driven a car all out.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What was your impression of the car, the experience at your first time, really driving like 1010s?
It was the first time out I was just scared. I was afraid to push it because I was afraid that it wouldn't feel like I was afraid it wouldn't feel like Gran Turismo and or the other sims I'd played at the time. And after the first run, I then went too hard. But it was really interesting how pretty much everything that I'd done in Sims did prepare me for that moment. There's obviously a huge gap that I had to I guess cross to really understand what I was doing, and I still don't think I understand what I'm doing in a real car. But it was really eye-opening to see like how much I had learned from racing in Sims, and I was really happy with. I think I was 15th out of 32, so I was really happy with my performance at that time. And then I got addicted, and I still haven't done much, but I fell in love with it even more at that point.
Well, it made you certainly appear confident enough to take the wheel of like a Winston Cup car for a short film with some stunt buddies, and get chased by a cop who then arrests you hilariously as you tried to goad him into doing some burnouts and some tricks with his Crown Vic. I thought that was amazing.
So that project is that's another project that helped me actually become a stuntman officially.
Okay.
When I did that whole thing. So that whole thing was supposed to be the whole project you're talking about was supposed to be a whole bunch of vignettes that looked like they were part of bigger projects. But the whole idea is we made it look like there were a whole bunch of big projects that we did, but we just filmed the specific parts for that larger thing. But yeah, I think that was also after I got to drive on track one more time in 2015. And then we did that project. So I had a little bit more confidence after spending some time at PIR. And then, I don't know anything about that car. Except the guy who had it, he said, yeah, this is a NASCAR. I'm like, I don't think this is a NASCAR. I don't know. This thing, it had I think it was a Ford, but it had a Chevy motor. And it was definitely the fastest thing I'd ever driven. Probably still is. And, so we just filmed a whole bunch of scenes of the cop chasing me, and my friends apparently they just went to the police station. They're like, hey, so we're trying to film a thing, and we want to do some driving on the streets, but we don't know what we need to do, get permission. And they're like, oh yeah, we know right the guy. And so they went into this guy's office, and he's got a whole bunch of movie posters. And he was like, I don't know what his position was at the police station. They explained it to him. He's like, oh yeah, I'll come supervise. So he showed up, and I was talking to him like, so like I can just go all out. You don't care? He goes, yeah, I'm here. It's fine. And so I'm just, he told me I got up to 100 miles an hour, and these are all back roads. and it's close to Portland. Mm-hmm. Then we found out 5 years later when we befriended the sheriff of another town around here. He's like, yeah, that was really illegal. That guy, I would have fired him if that was possible. We're like, incredible. Oh, that's cool. It's a good thing another cop who was more responsible didn't happen upon that scene.
Right.
That could have been real bad.
Or like an insurance adjuster.
Yeah.
That's so funny, and that's amazing. I want to comment one thing that really impressed me was the way you described how to drive a go-kart, because you might think that anyone off the street or anyone interested in cars might gravitate towards introducing a kart as like, oh, you just sit in it and you kind of toss it around, and the engine's back here, and kind of give just sort of off-the-wall advice. It could be any kind of advice, but the advice you gave was just extremely clear. You said, first of all, always have your mind on what the tires are doing. Always be mindful of what you're doing to the tires, first of all. And then second of all, think about how your inputs are changing where the weight is, how the weight is shifting from axle to axle and corner to corner. And those are like brilliant pieces of advice, because if your mind is on that first and foremost, everything else is secondary, because all of that secondary stuff, spring rates, bar rates, gear ratios and stuff, really only affect how the driver inputs into the vehicle. And how the driver inputs to the vehicle is predicated really only on one thing, your effect on the tires.
Right.
And where weight is being put to the tires. So I wanted to compliment you on that. That was very coherent and useful.
It is so fulfilling to hear that, because after my friend who made the project was trying to get me to, as quickly as I can for the soundbite, describe how driving a kart can benefit someone trying to drive a real car. I was like, I'm going to do my best. I don't know. I'm like, I taught myself all of this stuff, so I don't know if I'm even correct. So I was embarrassed. I was literally shy to say all those things on camera. So it's incredibly fulfilling to hear you say that that it was a good description.
Cool. Well, I really think so.
That was awesome. Thanks, man. And the karting part, so I think you can see at least a couple of the shots. We borrowed a friend's camera van with it was one of those red cameras, and with this amazing van setup, and so they just filmed me chasing the van for a while. I didn't know anything about the kart at the time. My friend just bought it from somewhere. They strapped a helmet on me. They're like, all right, so you're going to follow this car. And this was also on just fully public roads. There's traffic going the other way. And it wasn't until the first time that I got hit in the throat with a rock and then got distracted for a second and a car drove right by me that I was like, I shouldn't be doing this. No one should be doing this. And we finished it, and then I tried to slide it in the gravel a little bit. And but afterwards I'm like, yeah, I'm not ever doing that again.
Rock.
That was messed up.
That's amazing. When before Gran Turismo, before all of that stuff, and you were, let's say, a high schooler with a car, were you particularly adventurous in your automotive shenanigans?
I was, because of my small group of friends and my upbringing. My friend David, who's one of the most impressive human beings in the entire world, he was a master of the e-brake slide, and he had the funniest car. He had a Chevy Corsica, which is hilarious. It's a front-wheel drive family sedan, which is hilariously faster than everyone in high school that could afford to pretend to tune their Hondas. Mm-hmm. And so he would mess with dudes all the time, coming out of school trying to race them, and then slide around a corner. And yeah, he taught me how to e-brake slide, which is around the time that I also fell in love with drifting. And so we just go out everywhere. We'd go out at midnight and just find spots to just slide around everywhere. And
dude, you know what you used to do with front-wheel drive cars?
the trays?
Yeah, the fast food trays, man. We're like, we'd pull up to a Burger King and we'd be like, all right, who's going to do it? All right, I'll do it, whatever. and just go in. Like, I'm the awkward one that goes in. It's like, I make it obvious I'm doing something wrong. I'm like shifty, moving around, walking up, grabbing the stuff and running out like a crackhead. But my one friend, he was just walk in. Like, they were like, he's like, oh, I forgot my trays. Not say a thing, just walk out with him. Beautiful.
Just so charismatic.
We would destroy those things so fast. My friend had a Honda Prelude, and we would get like maybe 2 decent slides, and then we were like, all right, swap out the trays.
The tray pit stop.
I remember you reverse over them. You'd have to hear that crack so it breaks the lip in the front.
Oh yeah.
Like, oh, we got him. E-brake up and go. That was so much fun.
I think we stumbled upon the $1 billion idea. We could outdo Elon Musk. We just got to engineer fun trays that last a long time.
Yes.
We're going to send your fast food tray to Mars. Strap in.
And luckily, so the thing about Portland is it saves tires with the rain. 9 months of rain.
Oh, yeah. It's a lot.
That's true. 9 months of rain, and then, maybe you save the tires, but all the wheels get destroyed by the
Oh, yeah. So Nick lived 45 minutes south of me.
Oh, cool.
There were 2 dudes my year from the Portland metro area. There were 3, I think, Nick's year. I think every single year there was someone from the Portland area in GT Academy. And Nick made the joke during one of the races that we have to dodge slow drivers in the rain. And so in order to survive up here, you have to have slightly better driving skills.
That's a good point.
That is interesting. That's something worthy of forensic investigation.
And then there's the new segment, Beefing It with Roadbeef. So, Gran Turismo beefs.
Ooh.
Are there any? Have there been any?
Yeah, drama. And we got to find out, man. We got to pry a little bit. We don't want to talk ill will about people, but if we want to make it sound a little bit nicer, then perhaps we can rephrase the question. Tell us about rivalries that you have, some healthy competition. Who would you say you found yourself along with? It sounds like Urki. Who were you most embroiled with in combat?
Man, so I can't even say Ethan Lim because Ethan just goes around and messes around and beats me. We're always really close in the championship.
He got fast.
Yeah. I'll be sitting there practicing for 2 hours and he'll be like, I guess I'll do this, and he'll beat me. I'm like, thanks, Ethan. Thanks, child. Urki and I are always really, really close. Whenever there's a qualifying session, we're almost always like right next to each other. Every time we're like twins. I don't even know. I've always felt so, like, ever since I started trying hard and streaming to compete, I've always felt slightly out of place. Like I've always got that imposter syndrome going on, because I knew so little about the world when I dove in, and I still find myself learning things about the meta that I feel like I should have known for years. To be honest, I always feel like I feel like I'm just chasing everyone.
Well, I mean, if you wanted to be up to date with the meta, you'd have to join one of the GT fam WhatsApp groups. But then you're going to have like 400 messages you need to read every day. So it's a little bit of give and take.
I really lucked out because I'm streaming, and so many people either want to flex their knowledge as much as other people want to actually genuinely help. But I definitely wouldn't have reached the point that I'm at right now without the fact that I'm streaming, which is interesting to think about.
Dude, I was streaming Project Cars 1 when it was first out. And this, pretty normal stream night. People, I don't know. I feel like the juiciest times to stream are when new games come out, right? Obviously, people want to check out what's going on with the new game. I did it for Assetto Corsa, Competizione on the PS4 in that release, and that was fun. But for Project Cars 1, what happened was, it's just funny because what you said reminded me of this. A guy came into the stream and was like trying to coach me. And I definitely needed the help because I had a lot of bad habits that I carried over from GT, and he just kept very bluntly being like, "Why are you trying to brake and gas at the same time?" Or like, "Why are you so waiting? Why don't you wait for your tires to point straight?" Blah 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 blah. Blah. I'm like, "Damn, you're right, but I hate it."
Yeah, the back seating is super annoying. I actually just last week added no back seating in my stream test.
Nice.
That's funny.
It's also
that's the moment.
It's been some of the funniest moments though. Like, so I dabbled in before I hit up Twitch. I was on YouTube like off and on for like a year, and so I still remember the day one kid's like, "So my driving instructor said that you need to have your hands at 10 and 2, and I think it's gonna make you faster." And I was like,
"My driving instructor."
Like, there's a little slightly different concepts. He would not leave it alone, to the point that he never came back when I told him I'm not gonna put my hands at 10 and 2.
Like, dude, saying my driving instructor is a funny way to say my mom.
Mom, I mean, my driving instructor said, you gotta look both ways.
I'm asking for a friend. Yeah. 10 and 2. 10 and 2 is, I mean, it's like, for a drifter, more than anyone, that, the shuffle is the only way. Because if you've got 10 at 2 or 9 at 3, it's like, well, you're going to cross your arms, and that's 180 degrees of wheel travel, and now you got to do something if you need more lock. It's all about, just adaptation. It's funny how much we flail our arms around when we're going at it.
I was just watching the video you shared, and I was noticing how much you were moving the wheel around. I was like, okay, good. That's something that I do, and if he does it, then that's probably correct.
You mean like my constant micro corrections? Yeah, I've always driven like that, and I've tried to change it a few times, but I can't.
There you
You
go.
know, I got to be me. That's just
You know
just
what
how
my
I
theory
drive.
is for
And
that is just like watching a lot of onboards of Senna and F1 and like just watching the way they have to drive these cars, and you're just like you're sort of, yeah, like copying that a little. I mean, for me at least, sometimes it makes me feel cooler if I'm kind of doing that.
I feel like I'm constant. Like if I'm not constantly searching for the grip, then I'm losing out, which has also made me just do hilarious things.
yeah, it's maybe a driving style that is almost built for the exploration
There you
of
go.
the envelope. And once we find the envelope, then it's like the job we have to do is refining to remove as many of those micro corrections as possible. So we've got a consistent input schedule, let's call it, to go a race distance as fast as possible. And you can. What strikes me is fast guys who are never making those corrections. And one person in particular comes to mind, and that's
Right.
Lloyd's. Lloyd's is like crazy fast, and he streams, with the camera facing him in the
Yeah.
wheel, so you can see what he's doing. And he is doing like the smoothest, simplest inputs you've ever seen. And I can't see his foot cam, so I don't know exactly how manic he is on the pedals, but or smooth on the pedals. But that guy is always top 10, always in the fight for a race, and looks like he could. It looks
Yeah.
like almost minimum effort. I don't want to make it sound like I'm talking down about it, but it looks so.
That's the biggest
easy for
compliment
him.
you can give someone, if you ask me. That it looks like they're doing the very least amount of work with the most effective technique.
Right. When it's like that weird paradox that if it looks
Yeah.
slow, it's probably fast.
Absolutely. That happens in tricking too, and martial arts in general.
Yeah, being loose.
Just that it less spectacular or something, or something that's just a little. Do you mean is it like a parallel to how polished one's
It's
moves
about
are?
doing absolutely nothing unnecessary. Just 100%, just as close to 100% efficiency as possible. That was like Bruce Lee's main thing. Strip away all the unnecessary BS. You shouldn't constantly be building your knowledge base, but stripping away parts of your knowledge base that are useless. And same with the actual physical technique.
That makes sense. I think about something. Maybe he wasn't the first person to say it, but Elon Musk, when he talks about engineering rockets and engineering things in general, it was from him that I heard this engineer's fallacy, where a good engineer doesn't matter that they're good and they're smart and they can apply themselves. If they're optimizing something that shouldn't exist in the first place, then they're just spinning their wheels. Why optimize a solid rocket booster that you can't, that you have to expend, or fuel tank for the space shuttle that is just going to burn up in the atmosphere that costs who knows how many $1 million to make. Why not try to make it reusable? Or, that's a very simple and almost blunt example, but your comment on removing as much unnecessary movement or knowledge as you can feels like a good MO with which to approach sort of any problem from a basic standpoint, from the initial
I think so.
standpoint.
That's an interesting thing I'd never heard about. I never heard that quote from him.
Yeah, you can waste a lot of time training the wrong way or seeking the wrong sort of development. So it's a key aspect. It's kind of trying to reinvent yourself, see what you can do better, and stimulate yourself, and by approaching your progress in different ways. Sure, deliberate training, funneling your talent into deliberate areas that actually will help you in the future. It's all very vague, though.
Yeah.
It's interesting how a car's position and vector and direction are kind of like the sum total of a person's mental awareness, acuity, and mood, as well as their body language, all melded into one. Almost like, if I miss this chicane, it's because I had a traumatic incident in my youth.
Indeed.
Damn. The deep dive into the psyche of the racing driver. I love it. Explains why I
just
crash
watched
all the
it.
time. Damn.
Yep.
Me too.
Damn it, Grandma! You didn't give me the right present for Christmas when I was 7, and now I'm just flying into the death chicane. It's your fault.
Call up an old relative. The trauma that you gave me at 12 has resulted in me losing this race, and I'll never
Thanks,
forgive
Grandma.
That's funny. Oh man, I have a couple of further Gran Turismo questions for you if you would like to
Absolutely.
hear them. Do you have, of all Gran Turismo titles, a favorite
Oh, man.
track?
It's always... I get asked that a lot, and I'd have to say it's between Trial Mountain and Deep Forest. I think it's just because I've spent so much time there.
Really, like two of the
Yeah.
most OG tracks.
I mean,
And we're getting it back. A different version, but in GT
Yeah.
Trial Mountain. But
I hope we see Deep Forest and it's not too different.
it's tilted out.
Talked out.
Same,
Ugh.
yeah.
Reminds me of the current drama surrounding Interlagos.
Oh, about how they want to
Yeah.
build a track in
Yeah.
where Jacques
Interlagos is
Rapaglia
my
used to
current
be.
favorite track.
Oh,
I thought
nice.
of
Yeah, I love that
losing
track.
it. It's such a beautiful track.
The track limits are kind of lame.
Yeah.
GT Sport, especially for stiff, GT3s or whatever that run on them. Where it's way worse. You're running over these crazy big curves and stuff.
The original version from the 70s is wild. How it's got like this huge bowl oval that then doubles back on itself on the inside
I
like
don't think
twice.
I've seen it.
I think the original length for like 70s was
Yeah.
like 2.5 times the current
I'm
length,
Googling it right now
Yeah.
because I have to see it. Oh, wow.
So
like 19.
it
Isn't it ridiculous?
I want to drive
dude?
that one.
was a long lap.
I bet there's a mod for
Oh, yeah.
Assetto Corsa, and at the very least, if you can't find it, you'll just have to get R Factor because I'm sure because that's where I last drove it.
Yeah, I have to drive that now. All right.
Yeah.
Found one. Perfect. Thank you.
Of course.
Yeah, they really chopped
Oh,
it down.
man.
Laguna Seca's old layout was also... It wasn't, like, much longer. I think it was actually shorter, but it was way faster.
It was, yeah, it was like an oval with just
Oh, I
four
didn't know that either.
kind of. Yeah, turn 2, where it turns hard left and kind of goes to the infield, and you go under the Cooper Tire bridge or whatever. Turns 3, and 4
Oh.
didn't exist, and that was all just infield. And turn 2 used to be almost kind of like a quasi-banked fast left-hander that was like 30 or 40 degrees in radius. And you would just be flat out heading up to turn 6, which is the quick kink under the bridge to the left. So it was a much more dangerous track back in the day.
So you can fly off freaking into the ocean. You're going so
Right.
fast.
Monterey.
Yeah,
There's a good aquarium down there.
yeah, there is
Aquariums are cool.
good crab and lobster as well.
Oh,
Do you have a
man.
favorite food, Cyrus?
Oh man, that's a hard question.
do
That's
you ever
that's
eat
a loaded potato
Do you ever
question.
eat on stream?
Yes, in fact, it's become a ritual that I have to have one Uncrustable on stream at least.
Oh, that's cool. Sponsor.
Yeah, right.
Shout out.
They're so good. It's the perfect stream snack. You go, you take a break, take it from the freezer, you put it in your pocket,
Do your stretch.
do your stretch exactly. 20 minutes later, the heat from your legs will have thawed it just enough to eat. Perfect stream snack.
What?
I have to say
my
ramen or
gosh.
pizza are my favorite foods, by the way.
Oh, ramen.
Ramen.
Okay.
So
I'm
good.
so obsessed with ramen.
I imagine you concoct your own ramen, or are you a quick brew
So
package?
I'm in the
ramen?
middle because I never cooked much in my life until like 2 years ago, and so like I'm trying to learn how to cook more complex things. But the first time I looked up how to
Nice.
make ramen, it's an entire day investment.
The broth. Yeah.
The broth is
yeah.
real. You don't mess around with ramen broth. So my wife and I have just tried to go to every single ramen restaurant in town. But there's a frozen ramen from Costco,
Oh.
and it is just as good as restaurant ramen. And I know
Okay.
that's quite the claim. It is just as good, if not better, than some
have to
of the
try it.
restaurant.
I'm actually gonna
Yeah,
write that down, 'cause
that
I
makes
think,
so much
I
sense.
think wifey is gonna go
I need to
shopping
find-
at
I'm gonna
Costco
find
tomorrow.
the name of it right now.
Because it makes sense. I've noticed an increase in like more fancy ramen packs and kits. So, but that seems like the ultimate solution.
It is
I wrote down Costco frozen ramen and I circled it. That's how important it is.
Ajinomoto. There it is. Ajinomoto.
Can you spell
AJI
that, please?
NOMOTO. You're welcome.
Thank you.
It's totally coming up on ramen season. You know, it's like chili,
It is.
getting chillier.
Yep.
I fully blame Naruto for the fact that there are tons of ramen restaurants
Yeah.
now. Because when I was in high school, there were not ramen restaurants around anywhere.
Right.
There are 2 within walking distance now of me.
So good, and it's extremely, dude. It is the best post hike.
Oh yeah.
Because especially if you're just drinking water and not really replenishing electrolytes and stuff, you have a badass soup of ramen after a long day of just doing anything. Really, it's amazing. Recharge. It feels like a recharge. I feel like a video game character getting a
Right?
HP recharge.
Mm-hmm. I've got a great Vietnamese pho restaurant just up the street from me.
Oh, love that.
It's
I'm
so
getting so
good.
hungry.
Man, it's tasty.
Yeah, I don't eat at night anymore. It's tough.
That is tough.
Let's see.
Oh man.
Favorite movie, or candidates
Oh
for
my
favorite
gosh, I
movie.
have a few. So the reason that I am a stuntman is because I watched nothing but kung fu martial art movies when I was younger, and there's a select few. There's a period of Jackie Chan's life where he was way too crazy with the stunts that he did, and then a couple movies after that inspired the hell out of me, and one movie in particular that got me to finally get up and pursue the dream. So there's a movie called Ong Bak. It's from
Oh, I love it.
So if you've seen that one, it's incredible. The guy's name is Tony Jaa. He's most recently been in one of the Fast and Furious movies. But Tony Jaa's stunts rival Jackie Chan's. So there's also another movie he was in called The Protector, which was shortly. It was in early 2000s as well. Police Story, which is one of Jackie Chan's late 80s or early 90s movies. And then
It had a ton of cool car stuff.
Oh,
in that
yeah.
one.
Is that the one where he did a standing 360 in a white?
that is Who Am I? And that is
Okay.
so Police Story is, they didn't market it as much in the United States, but all of the movies that Jackie Chan made in the early 90s were one series of movies. They're all sequels to each other. And so Police Story, Police Story
cool.
2, Operation Condor, what was it, First Strike. Anyway, so yeah, that all of those movies have some of the most insane stunts that have ever been put in movies. So I'd say Police Story, probably Police Story 2, Ong Bak, and then a really crazy Jackie Chan movie from 1985 called Wheels on Meals, which was Jackie Chan and a guy named Yuen Biao, who didn't really become famous in America, and then Sammo Hung, which you guys probably recognize him because he was on TV a lot in the 90s. They grew up together, and so they moved a lot of movies together. But in Wheels on Meals, they are two brothers who are helping some... I can't remember much about the girl, but what I do remember is the stunts were insane, and they also had a Mitsubishi van that was bright yellow that was their... what's it called? My brain stopped.
Getaway?
It was
Happens to me all the time.
movable. It was a portable restaurant. It's like
Oh,
it was a
food
food
truck.
truck. Thank you.
I've been
And
there,
they
yeah.
they drifted the food truck around, and the stunts were even the small stunts they did. One of the gags that they did at the beginning of the movie was Jackie Chan jumped off of a second floor balcony onto is it an awning, like the soft
Oh yeah.
my brain just stopped working just suddenly. I apologize.
No, okay, yeah, he fell like through 3 of them, didn't
Well,
he?
that was another movie where he almost died.
Oh, okay.
He
Okay.
bounces off of this one, and then Yuen Biao tries to jump and follow him, but they move the awning, and so the dude falls 20 feet, and then slips on his heels and falls on his butt.
Oh.
And knowing what I know about
Ouch.
Hong Kong stunt movies in the 80s, he most likely had like 2 inches of padding over his tailbone, and the rest of it was guts and skill. And so, like, that's how they started the movie. Like, the stuff, like, every scene in that movie, you could not film in America right now.
I haven't seen that one. I gotta check it out. It looks so fun. Just watching the different stills.
It was
from
supposed to be called Meals on Wheels, but the last time that company produced a Jackie Chan movie that started with an M, they lost millions of dollars. So, for no reason, they
M?
just switched the... They just...
That's
yeah.
hilarious. Superstition.
So it's called Wheels on Meals.
No, guys. I figured it out. I know why the last movie didn't do well. Check it out.
It's the M.
That's so
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, pretty much all of my favorite movies are movies that have just stupid stunts that inspired me when I was younger.
The Jackie Chan movie I grew up with was Brooklyn, Bronx, Rumble in the Bronx.
That was such a good one.
Dude, his jump across the garage from one parking garage into like a fire escape, insane.
He broke his ankle in that one,
Yeah.
and then he had to spray paint a shoe on his sock over a cast to film the rest of the stunts.
He's so ridiculously
obnoxious.
hardcore, man.
Don't, if you want to forever, like, respect Jackie Chan, don't read his new biography.
Oh yeah, it's just like, is he kind of like pro party?
So if you don't know much about like the rumors of Jackie Chan, he's been rumored to be just a terrible person forever. And in his latest autobiography from like 2 years ago, he admitted to everything.
Whoa.
Oh,
Like,
man.
as much-
interesting. Does he?
As much as
I'm
like
sorry, go
even
ahead.
child abuse. Like, he got pissed off at his kid and threw him across the room when he was like 3. That kind of stuff.
Wow, so he's being completely vulnerable
Completely with it, yeah.
the book. I mean, that's respectable in one sense, but it's also like, wow, you got to take a step back as well and digest.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's. I mean, admitting and revealing is one thing. Does he express
I
any
haven't
kind of
finished it.
remorse?
It's
or
tough.
Growth
It's
over
tough
it?
to read.
Dude.
Okay. Gosh. Well, I'll give it a read too. That sounds actually, if
Yeah.
for nothing else, really
It's
interesting.
absolutely, it's super interesting.
And there was also that time where he touched a black man's radio.
You don't do that.
You don't do that.
Never do that. Never do that. I used to work at a video store. It was my first job in high school, and I remember seeing this VHS that I regret not like taking home and watching. It was Jackie Chan, and it was him on stage, and it was called Half
I
a Loaf
love
of
that
Kung
movie
Fu.
so much. I own that movie.
That is the greatest. That is such a funny title.
So that movie has some of my favorite running jokes with me and my friends that actually I don't hang out with them anymore. I just got sad.
Aw.
He meets someone in that movie who says that he'll train him in Kung Fu, but it really appears that the guy's just messing with him. He teaches him the iron finger, which is him flipping you off and jabbing it into your eye. He teaches a backhand, which he calls the concubine, for whatever reason. But it turns out at the end of the movie, the guy he's just a jerk. He was teaching him real Kung Fu, but also trolling him the entire time. He also has a dream where he's getting beat up, and he finds wild spinach, eats it, Popeye music plays, and he beats everyone up. That movie is super funny.
What drugs were these guys on, man?
Every
Just
one of
all
them.
I'm not the type of person that's always rifling that concept off where it's like, oh, they did good drugs when they wrote this, but like,
Yeah,
seriously.
with that stuff. Yeah, that's what you would think the entire time.
It's just different culture. It's really interesting to see the different, corners of the world as far as movie making goes and those sensibilities. Because if you want to see ridiculous action, no one takes it further than India.
Oh, yeah. The high-budget Bollywood movies are
ridiculous.
so funny.
Dude.
It's incredible.
Like, they'll have a thing where they had like a Terminator ripoff kind of movie. Just look it up. It's just
It's
ridiculous.
amazing.
Like Terminator, Indian, and there's a scene where he like pulls out literally like a million assault rifles and just shoots them all at the same time.
Deliberately flipping a
And-
car over a girl to hand her a rose upside down.
Yeah, I remember that one too. And there's this one where guys, you know that stunt they do in movies sometimes with the motorcycle where it's like the motorcycle falls to the side and they like slide with it and then get back up on the under. They slide under a truck. This guy did it with a horse.
I love that one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's good stuff. That's a YouTube hole you can fall into.
Oh yeah. There's this one called.
All those movies are on Netflix, by the way.
Oh, they are?
100%.
Robot is the one I was talking about. Robot is the name of this movie.
I believe that one's there.
It's filmed by Shankar. That's all you need to know.
I just had a crazy idea. If you guys have a moment, you could entertain this. So Clint Eastwood has made some amazing, stellar movies, but he deserves a retirement, let's say, and not for any bad reason. It's just the guy has worked so hard, and like I want him to kick his feet up. But before he does, he needs to make a final film. And here's my pitch for his final film.
I'm so ready.
Okay, you ready? The Fast and the Furious, but with horses.
Oh my gosh! Like,
Is he like the
Horses that are popping wheelies and doing 10-second quarter miles.
is he the secret horse trainer that has the secret recipe for the horse food that can make him 10 times stronger than the rest of the horses?
Yeah, what character should Clint Eastwood play? Maybe, oh gosh. Maybe he's one of them.
he voices Mr. Ed.
or he's he's like the police chief captain or something like that. He's the grizzled captain who says you have to go raid Johnny Tran's house. Oh man! All right, well, thank you for entertaining that just ridiculous idea.
That's my favorite
full of
idea
them,
so far.
Yeah, I love it. But we can all kind of go around and talk about our favorite car stunts in movies too, just in general.
Totally.
I'll try to think of one. If anyone has one already, they can go ahead and.
I have a movie in mind.
Yeah.
So
Please.
a small backstory. The reason that I chose the reason that the martial arts movies were my favorite is because of really specific scenes within those movies where they did either like a move that was really unique or a stunt that was really unique. And so when I got into drifting, I was obsessed with anything involving sliding a car. And so like I started trying to watch old car chase movies, and I got really obsessed with car chase movies. And then because that was also around when YouTube first blew up, and then slightly before as well. Like, do you guys remember Getaway in Stockholm? So those like I love that too. But there's a movie, I think it's called The Driver, from like the late 70s, early 80s. I want to look it up. I want to make sure I've got the right name. Here, let me see.
No big stars in that.
So I think there's a relatively big star. Yeah, okay. So
okay.
Ryan O'Neal and Bruce Dern, who were definitely popular at the time.
Right.
Yeah, so like the main guy, he was just known as the driver. Like people are like the names of the people are the kid, the driver, the connection. There's very little dialogue, but the driving was so top notch. They were really, really hooning these cars in that movie. If you can find a copy of it or find it like on YouTube or anything, the car chases were incredible. Like whoever was doing the driving was fantastic.
And title one more
The
time?
Driver.
Oh, The Driver.
Yeah, that's the one.
1978. An enigmatic man of fast cars and few words, the driver excels at maneuvering getaway vehicles through the tightest of spots, making him quite in demand in criminal circles. His skill and notoriety, however, infuriate the detective, who becomes obsessed with taking the driver down. Luckily for the speed-loving antihero, the player, a gorgeous and resourceful woman, is around to help him elude the detective.
Looks sweet.
It definitely inspired the movie Drive with Gosling.
Right.
Okay.
And then what was the more recent Baby Driver?
Oh, that was such a good movie.
Yeah, that was great too. They did some cool technology. If you look up the behind the scenes on what they did to make that Subaru do all that stuff, pretty intense.
And the music in that movie,
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah, that one was based off of a short film that the director did as a kind of a working concept, and it's cool watching the original, comparing it to what it ended up becoming. But for me, my personal, like the car stunts that made me most kind of come to awe were Mad Max and Fury Road. Had a few. Like I love the heavy car stuff. Like I definitely love my sedan or four-door chase scenes in a city, but there's something about getting a semi truck to do to hit a strike mark in front of a camera. That's
gotta be the hardest thing.
Yeah, dude, the heavy stuff. So from the original, from the Road Warrior up to Fury Road, and I love the way that they shoot the cars in those movies, how savage they seem. They're these military cars, like Twisted Metal stuff. It's just so cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. A lot of attention to detail that really makes those, the supercharger and Road Warrior.
The noise.
How much character? Yeah, the noise. Just
it was breathing,
amazing.
like it was a living thing.
Yeah. He held the reins to this incredible beast.
Yeah, the little details that you're legit. You just how did they think of that? Where when the semi trucks, the war rig is on fire, and then you kind of, when I first saw the war rig, so no spoilers here, by the way. If you haven't seen Fury Road, definitely go see it. But this isn't a big spoiler. Anyway, so I noticed the war rig had this train kind of looking scoop in the front, and I forgot about it. And then later on in the movie, the war rig catches fire, and they pull a lever. The freaking shovel goes in front of the truck, goes into the ground, kicks up a ton of dust, and puts out the fire.
Yeah, that was genius. I forgot about that.
Who thought of this? Yeah, and it probably actually really worked. It was a practical effect. It,
Yeah, that was awesome. I completely forgot about that.
I've seen the movie 100 times. I'm down to the gritty details. But Fast and Furious 1 to me is a huge one. A lot of the stunts in there were simple. But it was kind of like the original Star Wars, lightsaber fights. Star Wars started out, lightsaber fight was just it was more about the story between the duelers. It wasn't just about fighting for the sake of fighting. Although in the tricking world, I'm sure that got you a lot of work.
Man.
And your guys.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
It's hey, I could square up with you with the lightsaber and just kind of sword fight you, or I could do a spinning 360 twist in the air and just get one glancing blow off the back of you and then get sabered through. It's okay.
I gotta compliment you, Eddie, on that parallel that you just drew between the development of the development of Star Wars movies, especially as the prequels came out, to Fast and the Furious, and how it developed in terms of what kind of content actually filled the movie. How with Star Wars, the prequels had so much emphasis and time and choreography that went into the amazing lightsaber fights. That's honestly what I went to see Episode 1 for. Mm-hmm. Was the pod racing was cool, and Star Wars music is amazing, and it's a Star Wars you do it at midnight. It's a cool thing, but everyone was hyped for the lightsaber battles, and the theater erupted when the Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan are going at it with Darth Maul, especially Obi-Wan versus Darth Maul right after Qui-Gon gets killed, and it's just one shot of the two of them doing 50 moves between each other in perfect synchronization. That was everyone was just cheering after that. And you compare that to Fast and the Furious, and Fast and Furious had a coherent story, and the cars were there, but they were for lack of a better term, vehicles for the characters and the story, and they were part of it, but they weren't the stars. But as Fast and the Furious went on, after I'd say the third one was the last one that really had a genuine story, and everything since then has just been muscles and explosions. Let's be honest. And Star Wars, that's where the parallel is. The prequels, especially, just had a kind of a basic, what is this? Trade Federation. It felt like they sacrificed time spent on the story to instead focus on fan service, and it certainly drove in the dollars, and that's exactly what the Fast and the Furious franchise has done too. Just ridiculous money coming in by focusing on what draws in the highest numbers of people. It's just interesting that a sci-fi, past universe can develop in parallel ways to an Earth-bound car topic movie. It's interesting how the two of those evolved in a similar. Let's find out how to make the most money from this kind of way.
I never would have put that together without you.
Yeah, explained it beautifully. Yeah, he took my concept and ran away with it. That's awesome, man.
I like both your
Yeah.
brains. You guys got good brains.
Yeah,
Likewise, my
Thanks,
friend.
Ronnie.
But
if you could make like a 50-foot banner that says "My brain is good" and send it to me so I can put it in front of my house.
it sounds like Trump's like. Sorry to get political.
My
but
self-esteem needs a little kick.
You guys got the best brains. All right.
Yeah. yeah.
At least then it'll be big enough to wrap around my head once.
Hey, do you
Just
have a
one.
big head? Is that a thing? Is that?
I do.
In more ways than wow. I don't want to get it sexual here, but
The first
yes,
words that
in more
came out
ways
of the
than-
doctor's mouth when I was born were, "Look at the size of the head on this kid."
Oh, yeah, that's hilarious.
I got massive skull,
C-section all the
bro.
way. Me too, dude. So let me
Uh,
put it this way. I mean, I went to a karting, like my friends and I went to this like out of the way karting spot in Southern California, and it was outdoors, and they were giving helmets to the guys, to my friends, and then they gave me one. And I'm like, I hold it in my hand. I'm like, this isn't gonna fit. And they're like, try it on. I'm like, I know it's okay. You really want me to try it on? And then I obviously can't even. It barely gets inside the freaking bottom part. So they're like have to scramble, and they end up like it was a journey. They took like 10 minutes to find a freaking helmet for me. And finally, I could race.
Yeah, so that's what we all have in common. Maybe it's a sim racing thing.
Have you guys measured your head? Do you have?
I have an 8-inch head.
I have
Yeah.
multiple times for like costume fitting, and I never remember. I should remember.
8-inch. I know that because
8-inch.
I have a fitted Dodgers hat that it fits very, very well. It's at 8 inches, but it could be like a quarter inch bigger.
I have a hilarious anecdote regarding my massive skull. Do you ever like look back at your life and think like one defining moment completely changed the path you took in your life? So, when I was 6 or 7, I went to a rodeo with my mom because like my mom's from Oklahoma. My dad's from the Philippines. So, we did a lot of rodeo stuff. So, we were at a rodeo, and I wanted one of those kids' cowboy hats, like a little plastic cowboy hat. And we went to like a kiosk to get that. So I'm like, yeah, I want a plastic cowboy hat. We're at a rodeo. I want to be a cowboy. And none of them fit my head
Oh,
at all. And they were selling real cowboy hats, but my mom couldn't afford it. So she bought me plastic nunchucks from the kiosk.
whoa!
And that
Oh,
definitely is partially responsible for my love
My
of martial
gosh.
arts. Like, I think about that frequently. If
Wow.
my skull wasn't so massive, maybe I wouldn't become a martial artist.
You would have became
A cowboy.
Cowboy. Maybe a rodeo clown. Maybe you got messed up way more.
Yeah, oh god, rodeo clowns are they're so tough. Did I say radio clowns?
I heard
clowns are-
radio clowns. Cyrus, it's not too late. You can be the world's first
Yes.
ninja cowboy.
All right, I'm in. I'm ready for it.
It sounds like a B movie I would like to
yeah.
watch. Cowboys versus ninjas. Probably exists.
That's
Maybe. Well, we don't want cowboys versus ninjas. We need a melding.
Oh,
We
cowboy
need
ninjas, yes.
We need a counja.
Counja.
Or
Ninja Boy.
Ninja boy.
Ninja boy. Sounds like a rapper.
Ninja Boy. Lil Ninja Boy. Now we got it.
Yeah.
Tristan, did you say what your favorite car stunt was?
No, I haven't.
I've been waiting. Like, what is it?
Oh, cool. I'm really happy you asked because I narrowed it down to 4
Oh,
movies.
nice, perfect.
First one
Legal.
is Le Mans.
Oh, yes.
Oh yeah.
Steve McQueen. Because the cars are being filmed at real
Oh,
speeds,
man.
and that
That's
is
insanity.
insanity. And I don't know if you guys have either of you read the amazing book. If you're listening, you got to read this too. It's called A French Kiss with Death: The Making of the Movie Le Mans.
Oh, damn.
And it's this huge like hardcover picture book basically that tells the story of the whole making of. And you may remember a particular scene from Le Mans, and this is the first of 4 movies I'm going to cite, by the way, so I'll try to go quickly through this. You may remember one particular scene. I want to say it's near the end of the film. Steve McQueen's back in a Porsche, and he's chasing down the Ferrari in the closing laps, and he finally gets up close to him, and as he's coming to pass him, somehow his camera like rotates as he's passing, so you can see the Ferrari pass alongside, and then rotates again to see the Ferrari behind. Well, they had like a big, like heavy steel mechanism bolted to the car, which they're driving at speed, by the way, 150 plus miles an hour, set to just like a simple rope and pulley system. And this thing was heavy. Like, you know, this was a 30 millimeter like real camera, and weighed like I don't know, like 80 or 100 something pounds. So when it turned 90 degrees and went thunk to the stop, that like caused the driver to almost lose control of the car more than once. Like, that's how much danger they were operating in for every shot. Just in attempts to be, you know, innovative and have cool close-up shots. That's the kind of risk they had to take. I think who was it? Derek Bell suffered burns after he got in a crash. I think in a Lola T70. When they were filming that one scene where the Ferrari crashes through the Shell sign at Indianapolis corner and blows up. I think that was Derek Bell driving the car leading up to the accident, and something happened. It was just all sorts of injury and calamity, and it's just amazing that movie even got finished without more people getting injured.
You had to play it by ear on that one. Just to quickly add, I feel like if a crash happens while they're trying some other stunt, they could just use that for footage of a crash. You know,
frequently. Yeah.
Right. You signed an NDA. You have to deal with it.
All right.
Third movie, Vanishing
Point.
Vanishing Point has some great driving, and it's just an amazing story. Let's see. Second is Ronin with Robert De Niro and Jean Reno from like 1999 or 2000. I don't know if you've seen that, Eddie. That's got the most insane car chases through Nice in the southern coast of France.
No brake lights.
Unbelievable.
That was like the director said that,
Yeah.
right?
I think so. Yeah.
One instruction to the choreographer was, I don't want to see brake lights.
Oh, that made me think of Transporter. That's a great one.
I love that movie. I forgot about that movie.
Yeah, the BMW.
That has everything in my life.
License plates. Yeah, the license plates that hide your tag and shit. Or he had like 3 on the Rolodex kind of thing. That was cool, and the driving itself was awesome.
Jason's
Transporter. Yeah, Statham, right?
Yep.
Yeah, he's incredible. He's a real martial artist too.
Oh, cool. Last movie, and it's obscure. Condor Man. A Disney movie from, I think, 1981 that bombed so hard that Disney disowned the film. And only until recently did they put their name back on it, just so that they could make money on selling it as a DVD or whatever.
There's the Yellowbirds, these black Yellowbirds chasing this crazy like concept car thing.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So the same stunt coordinator team that made the Italian Job, the original one with Gene Hackman, were the team that put together the car chase scene for car chase scenes in this movie. Now the movie is extremely cheesy. It's dialogue that's made for kids. You know, so it's simple, but it's funny, it's beautiful, and the car chase scenes are just astonishing because they use like 930 turbos, and the main bad guy named Morovich has, of course, I know every detail about the movie, has a 935 with like a Chevy like big block V8 in the back, and it's got the like blacked out windows and like a radar thingy like rotating on top of it.
This thing's cool.
It's and they blow up these 930s, you know, cars that, like, if they were still around, would be a $200,000 car now today.
Dude.
Just blowing them up left and
They
right.
brought up a shield. It's like a battle bot.
One of the image results is a Gran Turismo livery with the what's it called?
Oh, that's cool. It looks. Is that the Pantera or whatever?
What is it called?
It looks like one.
Oh, the Condor car.
Car with the.
It was.
I'm trying to remember what.
It's like a kit car or something like that.
Yeah, that's that one muscle car that's like actually really good in N400 or something. I forgot.
What's really funny is we were talking about the Fittipaldi.
Oh, never mind. Yes. Oh, it does look like that.
We're talking about driving beefs earlier, And then
yeah,
I
yeah.
realized that the guy who made
Yep.
that livery is like one person that I actually have a long-standing beef with. Yeah.
Oh, really?
That's awesome.
That's really funny.
That's funny. Oh, and of course, the bad guy in Condor Man is Oliver Reed, who played Proximo in Gladiator.
Oh,
An incredible bad guy, and it was a kids movie, but he gave a great performance as a very intimidating and
I
scary
can't wait
bad
to
guy.
watch this.
so there's a really good stunt show in Disney World. It's about cars, and I remember seeing a Modern Marvels episode. It's called Lights, Motors, Action, and these stuntmen do this insane show. Like I don't know how many times a day they do it at Disney World, but it's badass. And the technology that they put into these cars to make them like drive insanely accurately, forward, reverse, they can drift forever, and it's just a really, really cool. If you type in I think it's Modern Marvels Disney Car Show. Yeah.
The people who do live theme park stunts are generally like Hollywood stunt people too. That is the pinnacle of stunt work. It is the hardest stunt work to
Dude.
do.
Yeah, I remember we went to go see Cirque du Soleil,
Oh, gosh.
and there was a segment in this show, Beatles Love Show, where they just brought out a vert ramp and there was roller skaters or roller bladers, fruit booters. They were doing like backflips on vert ramps. I'm like, geez, they just have this on tap on demand whenever they want. It's insane.
Yeah, I have a few friends who do various Cirque shows, and the athleticism that those performers have blows my mind.
There's something else. Yeah, man.
I have a really weird car anecdote now that we're talking that
Yeah.
you guys may or may not love this.
Sure.
So back in 3 Fast 3 Furious, Tokyo Drift. So that was directed by a dude named Justin Lin. And if you
Yeah.
look up the movie Better Luck Tomorrow,
I love Better
So
Luck
you've seen that?
Tomorrow. Oh yeah, dude! I saw it way before 3 Fast 3 Furious came
you know
out.
Han is
Tokyo Drift.
Han is the same character.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah, Han is the shit. I loved him in that movie. I mean, he's evil in the movie.
that's
but-
him. Like that is canonically Han from 3 Fast 3
Oh
Furious.
yeah, same universe. Yeah, yeah. That's so.
It's
super
a
cool.
weird, like I guess, rich kids with problems
Crossover?
kind of movie, like
Oh yeah.
the Better Luck Tomorrow. And yeah, it is 100% actually the same character. It is the weirdest
yeah,
thing.
dude. That's a hardcore movie,
It was
man.
really
fun.
hardcore.
A lot of those guys went on to become very successful. I just saw the one. Remember the one guy that was like, he had that famous line that said, "Making money is better than sex" or
Yep.
something like that. That actor, I saw him more recently in a freaking like I was watching because my family's Mexican. We watch Mexican movies sometimes, and I was watching this Mexican movie about like people traveling through, trying to get through the Sonoran Desert back in the day, and he's like this guy that lives in Mexico to get away from the persecution in the United States from the railroads,
Oh,
and he speaks Spanish in the movie. And I was just really
That's
impressed. Anecdote for me.
That's cool. Cyrus, you referred to the third Fast and the Furious as 3 Fast, 3 Furious.
That's what we all called it.
Perchance, have you seen the 3 Fast 3 Furious cartoon gag from
No.
Newgrounds?
Huh.
how did I miss that?
That kind of rings
this is-
a bit of a bell.
All right, I'm gonna link you, and I'm gonna need you to maybe have it on your volume so we know that you're watching it, and I
think
need
I
to
just
listen
found
to
it.
your reaction.
Let's make sure it's the right one.
Yeah, three Fast, 3 Furious, just with like a 3 in as the first letter of each. I'm gonna send it to the messenger here, so that we're talking about the same one.
Yeah, it's like 1 minute and 13 seconds.
I
There
don't
we
have
go.
speakers, but I am listening to it.
Okay. God, it's so funny.
The wings. See, even back then, we knew how dumb it was gonna get.
The
New
thrust.
models. Oh yeah, I remember this shit. Tristan is awesome. I was on Newgrounds a lot. Right.
Oh,
rice.
so good. The rice factory.
Spreed. Oh man.
The cars are just like being whipped around everywhere. It's like,
Is this 3D animation?
I like.
wow, dude, that scene going through the office building was quite complex.
Yeah, it's very lethal weapon.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That is so funny. How did I miss that?
Well,
That's exactly the
you
kind
don't
of thing that I would have
Don't
watched
feel bad that you missed it.
on New
Right.
Rounds back in the day. I don't know how I missed that. Yeah, I appreciate both your brains. The banner will be there shortly.
Oh, yeah.
Well, thanks so much for getting it going, Tristan. Thank
Of course.
you, Cyrus.
Absolutely.
Thank you, dear listener.
Thank you, Eddie.
Oh, of course.
You're the mix master.
Oh, yeah. Wicca, wicca, wicca. I'm gonna
Wicca Wicca Wardez.
tomorrow. Watch as I make my voice much louder than yours. Boom.
Just dominates.
More bass, but yeah.
He'll put me through a synthesizer, so I'm just like a, I don't know,
Perfect.
small child.
Yeah.
I mean, that would match my mental.
Oh, me too.
age,
Only
I
depends
guess.
depends on the like how good the question is. I'll change it up and down.
It depends on how good I look in that poster once you
Oh,
unroll
I need
it.
to know more about this poster.
Yeah.
One day.
I can show you
One day.
for a fee.
Oh, subscription, huh?
Yeah, Patreon.
Only posters.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I love it. Well, thank you, everyone. We're going to wrap it up for tonight. That was episode 24. Still got to upload another one, which is kind of a timeless upload. We had a chat while Tristan was driving on Discord. It was awesome.
Oh
The
yeah,
Drivecast.
when I was heading to Seattle.
Yeah, and we talked like time. It's like timeless speculation because we haven't gotten since then to now. We haven't gotten any new info on GT7,
Right.
and I am particularly proud of this conversation because we didn't bring it up at all.
No, it's true.
Because
Excellent.
nothing's come out.
Nothing
It's
to
like,
talk about.
yeah, there's nothing to talk about.
Yeah.
Are you getting? Well, let's end it with that. Are you getting a PS5 right away?
When I can find one, as soon as I can find one, I'm pre-ordering it.
I'm not gonna kill myself trying to
Yeah.
get one, so it'll happen. I'll let it come to me.
Yeah.
But
I'm gonna focus on my computer.
Yeah.
I gotta. It's on i5s from 2009.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
It's about time for an
me
upgrade.
too. That's what I'm doing. Like I was close to pulling the trigger a few times, but yeah, life happens. You gotta think sensibly. Being an adult sucks.
Mhm.
Anyway,
Yep.
Hmm.
to all of our friends out there listening, thank you so much. We will be back soon, and we hope that you have a safe October, Halloween. Maybe we'll see. But yeah,
Spooky.
spooky times.
Spooky season.
Indeed.
Thanks.
Thank you,
Mask
everybody.
up. Be kind to each other.
Yep.
Thank you, everyone.